Hi everyone, welcome back to Coding and Analysis. And in the previous video, we ran the random forest regressor and the cross-validation to determine the projected 2025 games for this upcoming season. And the one thing I wanted to talk about was the one of the players, Tank Dell. I was going to hard code him because I read that he was most probably not going to play this season. So I was gonna hard code him, go in there and put 0 games for the predicted, just to get that settled because the model's not gonna understand that. So I'm just going to go in there and hard code that he be out for the season. And another thing that I did was I um I renamed the function from to a train and predict underscore games underscore CV because it was just named train and predict underscore CV, but that was the same function as the one above with the predicted health grades. So I just renamed that to avoid any confusion. So I put underscore games underscore CV for the predicted 2025 games. So you see here, I kept the number of folds, number of splits for the quarterback to 3, and the running backs and the wide receivers, tight ends to 5. And then we can see down here when we have our features, and then we're applying them to the function. So I renamed it down here as well. So it's gonna be underscore games underscore CV. And then once we combine it into one data frame, all of these in one data frame, and round to 0. And then this is where we want to override. So we make a Python dictionary right here. We're going to say, call it override underscore dictionary. So it's going to be Tank Dell games is 0 and note out for the season. And then we're going to loop through the override dictionary right here. So it's going to search for override and then games to be set to 0. So once it sees the override dictionary, it's going to see Tank Dell and set it to 0 and put a note for out for the season. So this is how we're just overriding right here. And then once we run it, it's going to show the same. It didn't really make any changes for the MAE score, with Tank Dell being put as 0. And then once we go into the calculate the absolute error, you can see here that he will not be on here. In the previous video, it had him as playing 17 games. And then a 0, because I went into the spreadsheet and I put in 0 for 2025 games. And then the model didn't see that, predicted 17. So once we did this for loop with the override dictionary, we set it to 0, and now we don't see it in the residual. And then, I was thinking, looking at these results, I had to, because the CBS data, since they basically just put 17, 16 games for most of the players, I remember I had to go in there for the backups and I had to kind of hard code some of the data. So I put like 12. I think I remember I put 12 for Alexander Madison and for some of the other backups. So even though the model is predicting 17 for him, so this is more of like a hard coded answer. So you think to yourself, is this relevant data to run a model to get the predicted number of games if you're researching for a fantasy football draft? And the answer most likely is not really. I mean, it's fun just to look and see how the model did with the data. So you can see some of them, like Jamar Chase has 16, and the actual predicted games from CBS was 17, and Devontae Adams has 15, predicted 15 games, and their model had 17. So it's kind of just interesting to look at both models and see how our model used the feature importances to come up with this value. And it just kind of looks like they just plastered 17. And I don't even know if they used the model. I think they just plastered 17, 16 for most of them. And for the ones that say like 12, I think I put that in there in the spreadsheet. But then you can see Tank Dell right here. His value was overridden to show as 0 since he's going to be out for the season. Most likely, so it'll be 0 and 0. So when we're thinking about this, well, if this isn't really relevant, what would be relevant information for the person researching for the upcoming fantasy football draft? And it would be more of a question of how many games do we expect the player to play? So it would be like it'd be more of a classification question or a classification model asking, do we expect these players to play more than 14 or 15 games? And then it would be like a 1 for a yes and a 0 for a no. So that's what I'm going to do in the next video. I am going to create a use the random forest classification and cross validation to get to find this binary target, play more than 14 games, and then that's what's going to be in the next video. So I'll talk about in the next video, and always remember to never stop coding. And thanks for watching, and see y'all in the next video.